What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. And today, this is going to be a little bit different of a style video than I normally do. Usually I do a very edited, chopped up kind of video. This is going to be a video more just of a kind of a podcast. So if you guys just want to chill, relax, listen in your headphones while I break down this whole UFC 287 card, all of my picks. I've done a lot of research on this, guys. That's what you guys don't get. I watch film. I always do that before my breakdowns, but this time I did it for the whole card. If this does well and you guys want to see more of this, I'll do this weekly for each UFC card, or I'll just do it for pay-per-views. We'll see what's going on. I don't know how well this video will do. It's going to be a bit longer, but let me know. If you guys are going to watch the whole thing, let me know if you do in the comment section below, and we're going to start from the bottom of the card all the way to the top. I already did a video yesterday talking about Adesanya and Pereira, so I'm going to put that in the corner as well. I'm going to put that at the end of the video if you guys want to just click there. And yeah, so this isn't really going to be so much of like an edited video. This is just going to be me talking, so it's going to be a bit long, but there are going to be a little more edited, better versions later in the week. I'm going to be talking about specifically the Masvidal-Gilbert Burns fight, but I think I bored you guys enough. Let's just talk about this card. So we're going to open up the main card with Jaqueline Amorim versus Sam Hughes, right? So I'm sorry if I'm butchering Jacqueline's name here, but I don't, she is very interesting in the female division. Now, if you guys don't know, this is her pro debut, her first fight in the UFC, but she's undefeated, and this isn't just a regular undefeated prospect. Like, she has a bunch of first-round finishes, lots of first-round subs. I believe they're all first-round submissions, but I'm going to have to double-check that one. But she's incredible, She was the champion LFA, and I really like her style. Very aggressive, and definitely improving, especially in the striking. You could tell in a lot of her fights. But she's going to be fighting Sam Hughes, and Sam Hughes has been in the UFC before. She's gone 15 minutes. She has lost to a lot of opposition, but I am going to be going with, even though Jaqueline has a bunch of first-round submissions, I think this one's going to go to the distance, and I think this one might be a little bit of a problem for Jaqueline. I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park, first UFC fight in front of a main stage, and also I think we're going to see Sam Hughes have the ability to make this fight go to the later rounds, and I think we're going to see how well Jaqueline can be in those later rounds. We've only seen her in the first, so let's see how she does in later rounds. I predict this. I think the first round is going to be pretty close. Second round, I think, is going to go to Jaqueline. I think she'll get her mojo going, and maybe in the third round she fatigues. Maybe Sam Hughes takes over, and I think it might come down to that first round. I think it might not have a lot of output, especially in that first round, but I'm going to edge it for Jaqueline. I think she's going to be able to get the first and second round, and then maybe the third round's up for grabs. I think that one will be close as well. So that's my prediction for the first card of the night. The first fight of the night, rather. Second fight of the night. Now, this one is another one that's a banger of a fight. Like, this is going to be the greatest, because I think it only lasts for one round, this fight, but it's going to be one of the greatest first rounds of the night. Shayilan Nuerdanbieke versus Steve Garcia. Now, both these guys, they're aggressive fighters. Like, these two, especially Steve Garcia, just throws in the pocket, and I think we're going to see, Shayilan Nuerdanbieke, in my opinion, has some of the greatest counters amongst like non-ranked fighters. He's a very fun striker, has lots of spinning attacks, great counters, like I already said, throws spinning elbows. He's just such a fun striker to watch. And like I said, both guys are very aggressive. They're both going to meet in the center. And when Steve Garcia is usually met with aggression, his solution is, hey, let me go get the respect of my opponent and throw as hard as I can, sometimes leaving himself open in that regard. And we saw him get knocked out cold by oh my God, what's that guy's name? The young kid. It was at UFC 275. So I'm sorry if you guys want to comment in the comment section below who I'm talking about. It's one word. It's I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not that important. But, he was swinging the pocket, got knocked out pretty bad by that guy. I think it's going to be fireworks this first round. I'm going to give it to I'm going to say Shayilan Nuerdanbieke is going to counter, similar to the fight that I was just talking about against a guy that I don't remember, but the name of it at the top of my head. I think he's going to be throwing in the pocket, leave himself a little too open, and then I think we're going to see him capitalize early, and I think he's going to put him out. TKO, KO, maybe it's not out cold, but definitely going to hurt him really bad. I think he's going to get hit with a massive counter, but that first round is going to be entertaining for as long as it lasts. Next fight, we're going with Ignacio Bahamondes versus Trey Ogden, right? So this fight, this fight is very interesting. I think Trey is going to start a bit slow. You know, sometimes he's not always up to speed. And when you look at a guy like Bahamondes, right? Or I should just say Ignacio because I feel like I'm butchering everyone's name. But he's a very active striker, right? And I think if Ogden's going to win, I think he's going to have to try to wrestle. I think that's probably his best chance, but I'm going to go with Ignacio by second round TKO. I think the damage is going to accumulate, and I think he's going to catch him with something and finish him off a ground and pound. Next fight, and this is the last fight, I believe, in the early prelims. Cynthia Calvillo versus Lupita Godinez. I feel like I put that wrong in my notes, but point is that this fight is in the women's division. You know, we've seen Cynthia Calvillo in the UFC for a while, and yes, she's had trouble somewhat, if we're going to be honest, up until this point thus far with competition. I think this one is going to be very interesting because I actually really like Lupita very much. Her style is just very fun. She puts on a pace, goes forward, and I really like that about her when I watch her fight. Yeah, it was Godinez, so I don't know. I guess I'm probably so terrible at these names. Like, I'm so sorry, guys, but yeah, I think she's going to put a pace on her, you know, be aggressive with the grappling, and I think she's going to fatigue Cynthia. I think Cynthia is going to go into the second round. I think the pace is going to wear up, and I think Lupita Godinez is going to get a submission. You know, I think it's going to be a submission. Could be an armbar. She's gotten a few armbar submissions, but I think it's going to be something like just a blood choke, something like that, maybe like a rear naked choke. That's just my opinion on that. Next fight, we're going to open up the prelims. This is a fight that I'm not too excited for, to be honest, because Chris Barnett was supposed to fight, pulled out of the fight with Chase Sherman, and Karl Williams is now replacing Chris Barnett. We all want to see Chris Barnett. The guy is definitely one of the more exciting heavyweights, but alas, we have this guy, Karl Williams. Now, he just fought, I believe, a couple weeks ago on the Petr Yan card in UFC Las Vegas. He fought very, very recently, and basically, he used his grappling. It was a pretty mid fight, a pretty boring fight. And we've seen Chase Sherman, yes, have some success with takedown defense in the past. But I think he's going to be actively going forward, Karl Williams, and pushing Chase Sherman against the fence. I think he's going to have to, I think if Chase Sherman's going to win, he's going to have to try to push Karl Williams forward, especially with the kicks and things like that. But I got Williams by decision. I don't think that he's going to be able to get a finish. I think this one's going to be a pretty boring fight, honestly. Like, if you're going to miss any of these fights, I think this is the fight to miss. This one's not a very fun, interesting fight, at least in my opinion. Now, this is another fun fight. Gerald Meerschaert versus Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer, I felt like had a lot of hype, but died off. Like, this guy, I don't know where he is. You know, I feel like the promotion just was no longer there. The hype was no longer there. There was a lot of talk of him, but I think he fought since September, so he's back. And he's fighting Gerald Meerschaert, which is he's a good, legit dude. If you guys will remember, he did get knocked out pretty quickly by Hamzat, but he's a very good grappler. He has his moments, but in my opinion, he's open to getting hit, and I think that's going to help Joe Pyfer. I think he's going to really put on a clinic against Gerald Meerschaert, if I'm being honest. I think that he's going to land a lot of shots. I think it's going to go to a decision. I think 30-27. I think Joe Pyfer is going to have a lot of moments where he almost finishes Gerald. But I think it's up to Gerald to really try to incorporate the grappling, but even Joe Pyfer is really good in that department as well. Joe Pyfer is just a really good guy, and he's incredibly powerful as well. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe he does finish Gerald, but I think it's just going to go to a decision. I think there's going to be a lot of close calls where, you know, Gerald gets dropped, and we're like, oh my God, is he going to get the finish? I think that's how the fight's going to go, and I think it'll be at least every round. I think he'll win, in my opinion. Maybe he wins. Maybe Gerald picks up one round, but I even doubt that. I think Joe is going to win that one pretty clearly. Michelle Waterson versus Luana Pinheiro, okay? Now, Michelle Waterson, obviously everybody knows Michelle Waterson. Great karate, great ground game, and she's even been improving in the wrestling lately. She did lose her last fight. I believe it was against Amanda Lemos in UFC Long Island. So she got guillotined there, coming back, trying to prove her skill, to show that she's still in the game. And I believe that this fight is going to be featuring a lot of Michelle Waterson spinning attacks. I think because Luana is such kind of a she has really good boxing, and she definitely tries to get into boxing range. She's very aggressive. But I think that'll help her get into the boxing range and get away from that kicking range, especially with her going forward. However, I think we're going to see Michelle Waterson actually have a pretty good performance. I think she's going to get some kicks on her. I think she's going to slow her down. Maybe Michelle Waterson loses the first round, and then the rest of the rounds go to her, because I think Michelle Waterson will win by decision. I think we're going to see Luana slow down. I think we're going to see a lot of body kicks from Michelle Waterson, just slow down her opponent. And I think that's what I could expect from this fight, to be honest. It's a close one, because Michelle Waterson also, has lost a few lately, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know. But in my opinion, I think I'm gonna go with Michelle Waterson. I think that's pretty unpopular. I'm pretty sure that Michelle Waterson's an underdog. So, but who knows? Honestly, the underdogs don't make any sense anyway. Sometimes. Now this is a fight that I am excited. Should be on the main card, in my humbled opinion, but it's not. It's the headliner, the prelims. You can't get mad at that. Chris Curtis versus Kelvin Gastelum. Now, Kelvin Gastelum was supposed to fight in the beginning of January, pulled out against Imavov, right? Nasruddin Imavov. Sean Strickland stepped in. We all know what happened. Sean Strickland wound up winning, but he was supposed to fight him, had a pretty bad injury. I don't remember what he had. I think, didn't he have some sort of like infected tooth or something, or am I wrong? Something like that, right? Something weird. He had, and he pulled out of the fight. And look, the thing about Kelvin Gastelum that I think is important is, first of all, I'll say I'm picking Chris Curtis, and I'll say why and how. Kelvin Gastelum has taken a lot of damage in his career. I mean, you look at the Adesanya fight, and then you look at the Robert Whittaker fight. I thought was pretty underrated, and I thought Whittaker put a really good performance on Kelvin Gastelum with landing a lot of head kicks. We also saw Jared Cannonier have some success against Kelvin Gastelum. He's taking a lot of damage, and I'm really worried about that. And Chris Curtis is a guy that has really good boxing. I think we're going to see Kelvin Gastelum go forward, trying to land hard shots, and I think he might even win the first round, because sometimes Chris Curtis does start off a little slow. I think we're going to see Kelvin win the first round, be really aggressive, and I think we're just going to see Chris Curtis counter, especially as the rounds go on. Honestly, I could see Kelvin winning this one, but I am going to go with Chris Curtis by third round TKO. And yes, Kelvin Gastelum I don't think has been finished as of yet. And and it's, I understand it might be a hot take. A lot of, obviously he does have a really good chin. We especially saw that in the Robert Whittaker fight. As I mentioned before, a lot of damage was put on him there. But I will say, I think his time clock, I think that the ticking time clock is running out. Age, what is it that, age never loses. What the hell is that saying? Time always wins, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think we're going to see Chris Curtis use a lot of leg kicks. I think he should use leg kicks. At least we saw him we saw Cannonier land a lot of leg kicks on Kelvin Gastelum. So I think Chris Curtis should incorporate the boxing, and I think he's going to do really good. Like I said, Kelvin is, though, aggressive. If he can keep that pace going 2 rounds, maybe you could steal 2 rounds and win a decision. However, I think Chris Curtis's boxing is kind of underrated. I think when he lost to Jack Hermanson, a lot of people started underrating him, but the dude is really good, and I think we're going to see that moving forward. And I'm curious to see how well he does in this fight, because this will definitely be able to confirm to us, is this guy legit? Can this guy hang with the top 10? This is definitely one of those best opponents they can get a stepping stone as. And then if he wins this fight, I would like to see him fight, maybe Roman Dolidze. He just came off a loss. Maybe have him fight Marvin Vettori. Dricus du Plessis. I think Dricus deserves maybe someone a little more higher, but whatever. There's a lot of interesting matchups for Chris Curtis, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Could also see Kelvin Gastelum winning, but I just think more likely Chris Curtis will win. Now, we're going to get to the main card, the pay-per-view. Lots of fun fights here. One of my favorite fighters is fighting on this card, Kevin Holland. He's literally, for years, I've been one of my favorite fighters. So I'm happy that he's on the card. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. Now, Raul Rosas Jr. picked against him last time. Said, hey, I think the moment was going to get to him. And I was like, hey, if he finishes his opponent, which I forgot who it was, by first round submission or, first round finish, yeah, this dude is legit. And he did. It really showed to me that the confidence is there. Whether you think it's arrogance or you think it's being cocky, he does have a lot of confidence. That definitely helps him to some degree. So I think that's definitely good for him. One of the things I like about Raul Rosas Jr. is he's so sporadic. He definitely represents someone that's been training MMA, like pure MMA, and to me, I think he's bringing a lot of new elements that a lot of these older veterans haven't seen because he's so new and kind of teaching these newer moves. He's kind of ahead of the class, if you know what I'm trying to say. So I think that's what I really like about him, but I will say that the UFC is not giving him a easy opponent. Like, this isn't like, oh, let's walk him to the top of the division. This is a guy that's 8-1, just won by submission in his last fight, has lots of forward pressure, and he lands hard shots, especially in his last UFC fight, which I should start writing down these fights to reference, but he was landing big shots on the guy, got the submission at the end of the day, and like I said, I think he's very well-rounded. I'm going to be picking Christian Rodriguez. I didn't pick a method of victory. I didn't write down any, but I'm going to go with second round submission. I think he's going to hurt him on the feet, maybe even first round submission. He's going to hurt him on the feet and then get a submission. This guy is legit. I really am high on this guy. I really like this style. But we move on to the bigger fights. I mean, not that that's not a big fight, but Kevin Holland, Santiago Ponzinibbio, the people's main event. The people that love Kevin Holland, just like me. And I'm not afraid to show my bias. I know a lot of people say, oh, he's trash, this or that. Look, the guy, in my opinion, is very underrated. One of the taller welterweights. He has a lot of power. I'm going to be picking Kevin Holland in this matchup. I think Santiago Ponzinibbio in his last bout against Alex Morono really was not impressing me at all. I thought he should have done that a lot easier. Almost lost the fight, basically, really, if he didn't get that knockout in the last round. So I'm going to go with Kevin Holland. I think he's going to knock out Santiago Ponzinibbio because Kevin Holland has underrated knockout power. Like, you saw him hurt Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He has a chin. Took a right hand from Tyron Woodley. And, the guy is, I know Stephen Thompson's a little older, but he definitely has a chin, and he's definitely a legit guy. But we move on to the next fight, and also not to mention Kevin Holland's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Could also see him getting a submission, maybe hurts him, gets a submission like he did to Tim Means. But I think maybe we see Santiago Ponzinibbio do a little well with the activity early on. I think we just see Kevin Holland catch him, maybe in the first, maybe in the second. Don't think he goes to the third. That's just my opinion. Then maybe he gets a submission, maybe he just knocks him out, TKO. I don't know. It could be any of those, but featured bout. This is a fight that, man, I was looking at this card. I feel like this card kind of was off the radar. I don't know how you guys feel. I said this in my last video, and I'm not sure how many of you guys agree, but I just feel like this, I was like, damn, like Alex Pereira Izzy is coming up right next. But so is this fight. Like, I feel like I remember when I did the video talking about this fight when it was announced. It feels like long ago. Like, it feels like this fight was just a fantasy fight. Adrian Yanez, Rob Font, and yes, look, Rob Font has taken a few beatings. I think his last one was against Cody Garbrandt, right? Because then he lost to Aldo. It was against Cody Garbrandt back in 2021. Been 2 years since he's won. The guy is, we've seen him lose to the top, right? We saw him beat Cody, lost to Aldo, which Aldo was number 3 when he retired. We saw him lose to Chito Vera, who just lost to Corey Sandhagen, but other than that, beat Dominic Cruz. He has lost to legit competition. So I don't want to make it at all seem like he's like washed. I hate when people say, oh, he's washed when you're fighting the best in the world. But truth be told, he has taken a lot of damage, unfortunately, for Rob Font. Especially in that Chito Vera fight, he butchered his face. And it's just, that's the kind of damage I worry about. Also, Aldo he took damage against. And he does have a really good jab. No, that's what he's most known for. But I'm going to go with Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez's boxing is so clean and so technical. Yes, sometimes I think that people might overrate Adrian Yanez. But I think he's really good. I wouldn't say that he's overrated, but he is very good. I think this is a huge jump in competition for him. I mean, didn't he fight, what was his name? Tom Kelly or whatever his name is? that he fought last time, like sorry guys, my computer turned off, but like, are you the competition is just not there. It's not the same. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think Adrian Yanez is going to maybe struggle early against Rob Font, but I could also see the damage accumulating and him getting a finish. But I'm going to go with, I think, Adrian Yanez. I don't know by knockout or decision. I think I'm going to go decision, but I think it's going to be close. I think he might finish Rob Font. Who knows, though? I think since it's a 3-rounder, I think it's going to be a pretty brutal 3-rounder. And, yeah, so that's my prediction. But I'm pretty confident Adrian Yanez. But, you know, also at the same time, Rob Font has more experience, so that could also be a factor in the fight. And I think this fight will definitely help us see how good Adrian Yanez truly is. But, co-main event, Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal. Now, Gilbert Burns is a guy that I have always rated high. I think he is underrated when we're talking the best welterweights at the moment. I mean, I think he's a bad stylistic matchup for Usman, proving he knocked down Usman. I think in a rematch, it would be interesting to see the rematch, just because I feel like Gilbert made a mistake on not capitalizing when Usman was hurt. He just stayed in his guard for some reason when Usman was clearly recovering. I think in a rematch, I think he would have had a lot more success. Usman was clearly afraid to go to the ground with him, but he also was able to hurt him. So I think Gilbert might actually win a rematch. That's probably unpopular opinion, but I think he has a good chance. I think he has a good chance of beating Leon. I think he does beat Leon, if I'm going to be honest. And I think he beats Colby. Call me crazy. I know a lot of guys are going to call me crazy in the comments, but I think he's going to lose to. I think he would beat Colby, but that one's a tough matchup. A lot of these are tough matchups. I don't mean to make him sound like a done deal, but I think he could hang with these top. He could even be Hamza maybe in a rematch. Maybe it was a 5-rounder. Maybe he would have, but Gilbert did get fatigued as well. You know, a lot of people forget that, but both guys were fatigued for sure. But you look at Jorge Masvidal, has lost a lot of his last few. You know, really had that good year in 2019, but then since then hasn't won a fight. He lost to Usman twice, though, and he lost to Colby, number 1 and number 2. So not necessarily so much shame there. However, when you look at his overall resume, it's not too enticing. It's not too convincing for me. Like, you see, you know, even in 2019, he beat Till. Where's Till now? Not even in the UFC. Beat Ben Askren, who, you know, was way past his prime. And then beat Nate Diaz, which is like, who hasn't beaten Nate Diaz at this point, you know? And all respect to him, though. You know, I love Nate Diaz, but come on, you know, that isn't like the highest top of competition. Then he lost to Usman. I thought he had some moments against Usman. Even in the second fight in the first round, he had some moments. Lost the first round, but he did have some moments with the striking, especially with the elbows. I thought was creative when he was on the ground. And the thing is that Jorge Masvidal does have underrated takedown defense. I will say that. However, I think I'm going with Gilbert Burns. I think maybe there's a chance. Look, Gilbert Burns has shown sometimes his chin is not his best. He got dropped by Hamza, got dropped by Usman, and finished by Usman. I thought Hamza was going to be able to knock him out. That's what I predicted for the fight, but didn't happen. He usually is able to recover, usually because people don't want to go in his guard. So I could see Gilbert getting dropped at some point by Masvidal. I don't think it'll be like a big knockdown. I think it'll be like a little like, oh, I fell, grit right back up. And then Masvidal's like, oh, you know, smiling, this and that. I think my problem is this. Number one, Gilbert has power, big time power. I could definitely see him putting down Masvidal, knocking him down and getting a submission. But the thing with Gilbert is kind of like a Francis Ngannou is you have to be perfect for 15 minutes, right? If Masvidal gets taken down even once, I believe Gilbert Burns just submits him because his jiu-jitsu is just out of this world. I think that's how the fight's going to go. So I think he's going to have to be perfect for 15 minutes. I don't believe he can do that. I don't think he's going to be able to knock him out cold, Gilbert Burns. He could, maybe, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he might knock down Gilbert, hurt him a few times, but I still think that it's going to be up to Jorge. He needs to stay up on his feet the whole time because he'll get submitted bad. I could see this ending in the first round, if I'm going to be honest. I think it'll be a first-round submission for Gilbert Burns or a second-round submission. I don't know. I don't know. Or I could also see this fight. Sometimes I think about this fight, I could see this fight being a war. But I think either way, however way it goes, however way you slice it, I think Gilbert Burns is going to win. I think it'll be a first-round sub, though, but who knows? We'll see. But the main event, I already did a video about this, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. But Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya. Now, these guys have fought 3 times now. This is the 4th time these guys are fighting. And one guy has won them all, and that's Alex Pereira. Yet we're all saying, oh, Israel Adesanya has a chance to win, which is true. Israel Adesanya does have a chance to win, which is crazy when breaking down the matchup, when you know the fact that Adesanya hasn't won any of these fights. But there's still a lot of question marks, as I said in my video. How will grappling take effect? Who will use grappling? Will Pereira be able to defend takedowns? Will he be able to implement takedowns? There's so many question marks talking about this fight, and it's so interesting because we've seen these guys fight 3 times. Now this is going to be the 4th time. You would think, hey, all questions were answered. All questions are not answered. There's a lot of interesting things. I'm curious to see how Adesanya addresses a lot of the problems in the last one, including those leg kicks, including the jab of Pereira that kept backing up against the fence. And I'm curious to see, will he start to implement takedowns? Like I said in my video yesterday, I think it's a little risky to implement takedowns. I think if you were going to, maybe the last fight was the best chance to, but you see Pereira training with these grapplers. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to keep it short because I have a longer video talking about it and breaking down why, so I'm not going to give everything away here just so you guys will watch it. But, you know, I'm going with Pereira. I think if you're looking at this from an odd standpoint, who is literally more likely to win, I think you got to go with Pereira. Pereira has proven to beat him 3 times. The momentum's behind him now. He has the confidence. And we've seen that he's able to knock him out from round 1 to round 5. The power is not going to fade too much. So I think he's going to catch Adesanya. He's going to touch him at some point with the left hook or with whatever. And I think he's going to hurt him. And it seems like to me, I think that Alex Pereira is and not technically, has the higher fight IQ. I think Adesanya is technically better, has a lot of more weapons to use, but I think Pereira has a better use of the fundamentals, and I think he's able to have really high fight IQ with those fundamentals. Like you see the way he fought Sean Strickland, you know, perfectly baiting out the shot so he can land that left hook. So yeah, so I'm going with Pereira. I think he just has his number at this point. It's going to suck, and I think it's going to be a big stain on Izzy's legacy. I'm not an Izzy fan per se, but it's just going to suck because I think what's going to happen is Pereira will win, move up to light heavyweight, and then we're going to have a vacant title fight between, I think, maybe Robert Whittaker and Adesanya 3. And if Adesanya wins, what are we going to do? Just pretend Pereira didn't exist? I think it'll ruin his legacy. A lot of you guys seem to disagree, but I just think it will always say, hey, like Pereira beat him, and Pereira wasn't. That's just what I think. You know, at this point, I think it's going to seriously affect his legacy, and I think you guys are wrong by saying it's not. But that's just my opinion. We're going to be doing more breakdowns. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this like podcast style. I was afraid it was going to be a little longer. I'm glad it landed under 30 minutes. But let me know what you guys thought about this style. You know, was this annoying? Do you guys like hearing me talk for so long? If you guys watched the whole video, comment. Let's comment Miami rival. No. What should I be like? Miami. Let's just say like Miami Heat, you know, like Miami Heat. Let me know. Just comment that and I'll respond to you because I know you watched the whole video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for the support as always. You guys are always there. I love your comments. The last video did pretty good. Make sure to share this video, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be releasing Jorge Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns, an in-depth breakdown, what I think their weaknesses are, strengths are. I didn't really talk about it too much in this video, so tune in for that. Also a press conference reaction video, and I think this Saturday will be a Q&A, so tune in for that. Comment in the comment section below. Let me know. I'm going to respond and talk MMA with you guys. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.